Okay, so this is our quiz number 2 for prelim. We will have another set of quiz maybe next week, but that will be for the next lesson that we will have. Now, this is purely computation. The first part is you have to compute for the molar masses of the given compound. So for letter A, you have there sodium bicarbonate. Remember, when you compute for the molar mass, you just have to identify the elements that are present in the compound. And as well as you have to identify how many atoms of each element are present. So we have number 1 again, sodium bicarbonate. So you have sodium, hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen. And then for the number of atoms, sodium is only 1. That's also the same with hydrogen, carbon, and for oxygen, we have 3 atoms. So do not forget that you can identify the number of atoms based on the subscript in the chemical formula. And then you need your periodic table here for the atomic weights. My instruction was for you to round off the atomic weights to the nearest whole number. Again, whole number ha. So for sodium, this is 23. And then hydrogen, it's 1. Carbon is 12. And then oxygen is 16. So let me get my calculator. Then let's add everything. 48 plus 12 plus 1 plus 23. This is 84. Do not forget the unit. That is very important. What is the unit for our molar mass?
Gram per mole.
Okay, very good. This is gram per mole. So again, for sodium bicarb, the molar mass is 84 grams per mole. So I hope you got the correct answer for the first compound. Now for the second compound, you have zinc fluoride. So you only have 2 elements here, zinc and fluorine. So you have 1 atom of zinc and you have 2 atoms of fluorine. What is the atomic weight of zinc? Yung round
65 po.
65, okay. While fluorine,
19 po.
38.
huh?
19.
19.
Okay. So 19 times 2, that's 38. So 65 plus 38, this is 103. Again, the unit, grams per mole. Okay? Sige. You can ask question ha if you want to clarify something. Now for letter C, potassium nitrate. So you have 3 elements there. So potassium, and then nitrogen, and then oxygen. 1 atom for potassium, 1 for nitrogen, and 3 for oxygen. So this is 9. What is for potassium, right? Atomic weight ni potassium, 39.
Yes po.
39.
Okay, 39. Then this is 14. And this is 16. So all in all, for potassium nitrate, 39 plus 14 plus 48, this is 101 grams per mole. So for letter C, the correct answer is 101 grams per mole. Now for letter D, aluminum chloride. So you have aluminum and chlorine only. 1 atom for aluminum while 3 atoms for chlorine. So aluminum, let me check, this is 27. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is 27 and this is 35. So this is 105. So 105 plus 27 is 132 grams per mole. So that is for letter D, 132 grams per mole. And lastly, letter E, we have ammonium hydroxide. So again, letter E is ammonium hydroxide. So you have nitrogen, hydrogen, and oxygen. We have 3 elements here, 1 atom for nitrogen. For hydrogen, this is a total of 5. You have 4 plus 1 here, and then 1 atom of oxygen. So this is 14. This is 1. And then this is 16. So all in all, for ammonium hydroxide, the molar mass is 35 grams per mole. Okay? May decimal. Bakit may decimal? I think nag-instruction ako when we started with the quiz that you need to round off the atomic weights to the nearest whole number. Again, my instruction was for you to round off the atomic weights to the nearest whole number. So you should not be seeing any decimal here sa answers natin. For number 1 only, but for number 2 and number 3, the atomic weights will still be in whole number, pero you can have the decimal sa answer. Okay? Pag di na round off, I'll still accept that, pero I will not give you the perfect score for each item. May points pa rin naman yung yung may decimal. Hindi nga lang siya perfect. Kasi hindi naman na-follow ang instruction. Okay? So, number 2, determine the mass in grams of lead ion in 15 grams of lead sulfate. So, I think I have given you a pattern for this. This is actually a stoichiometry na problem. Yeah, need nakabox ang final answer. Okay na naman kung naka-arrange properly yung sagot ninyo. Kaya ko siya pinapabox. Kasi minsan may nagsasubmit ng answers na masyadong unorganized. Nahihirapan ako hanapin si number 1, number 2. And then saan na napunta yung computation, nahirapan ako maghanap ng final answer. That's the reason why I need you to box your final answer. But nevertheless, if hindi niyo siya na-box pero naka-organize naman, walang problema yun. Okay? So again, determine the mass in grams of lead. Gaano karami yung lead sa 15 grams ng lead sulfate. So lead sulfate class is PbSO4. Again, this is PbSO4. So yung pattern natin, remember, weight of the given times the molar mass of the given, but this is in moles over grams. And then i-multiply natin siya sa mole ratio. And then lastly, i-multiply natin ito sa molar mass or sa atomic weight ng what is asked in the problem. So the given here is 15.0 grams of our lead sulfate. Multiply natin siya sa molar mass, but the molar mass is not given, so you have to compute for this first. You have lead and then sulfur and then oxygen. So 1, 1, and 4. What is the atomic weight of lead? Kindly check sa periodic table.
207.
Okay, very good. 207. And then for sulfur?
32.
32. 16 times 4, this is 64. So let's add this. 207 plus 32 plus 64 is 303 grams per mole. Okay, so this is 303 grams per mole, but take note of our pattern. The mole is nasa taas. So this is for lead sulfate. 1 mole of lead sulfate will weigh 303 grams. So yan yung meaning yan. And then for our mole ratio, you just have to look at the chemical formula of lead sulfate. You can see there that if you have 1 mole of lead sulfate, again, sa isang lead sulfate, or we call that 1 mole of lead sulfate, isang atom lang din siya ng lead. So you can also call that 1 mole of lead. Okay? And then lastly, let's have the molar mass, or let's call this atomic weight. Atomic weight of our lead is 207 grams sa isang mole. So this is the atomic weight of lead. Now we can cancel our units. Grams of lead sulfate, grams of lead sulfate, and then mole of lead, and you will be left with grams of lead. So we can simplify this. 15 times 1 times 1 times 207 is 3,105 divided by 303 times 1 times 1. This is still 303. So for the final answer, 2 decimal places, 10.25. 10.25 grams of lead. So again, this is the final answer for number 2. If you have 15 grams of lead sulfate, 10.25 grams of that will be the mass of the lead. The remaining will be for the sulfur and the oxygen. So that's how you compute the mass of an atom or an element in a compound, in a given amount of compounds. So do not forget our pattern. Okay? Yan, I hope you get the correct answer also here for number 2. Now let's move on to number 3. For number 3, determine the number of moles and millimoles of sulfuric acid in 4 grams of the pure acid. So class, sulfuric acid, this is H2SO4. And before we can proceed with the computation, let's first compute for the molar mass. So you have 2 hydrogen here times 1. This is 2. Sulfur, you only have 1 atom of sulfur. And then lastly, 4 atoms of oxygen. 8 lang. So 64 plus 32 plus 2, this is 98. 98 grams per mole. Now, what is our formula? Mole is equal to weight of the substance divided by the molar mass. So the weight of the substance that is given is 4.0 grams. You divide this sa kanyang molar mass, that's 98 grams per mole. So you cancel the unit, you will be left with mole class. So 4 divided by 98 is 0.0408 mole. If you just answer 0.04, I have no problem with that. So 0.0408 mole, this is for the mole, ha, dalawa yung hinahanap, millimole. So our conversion factor sa isang millimole, you have 10 raised to the power of negative 3 mole. So you cancel this. Okay. 0.0408 divided by 10 raised to the power of negative 3. So this one is 40.8 millimoles. Again, if you have only answered 0.04 mole, okay lang. Tapos yung answer niyo sa millimole is 40, that's okay also. But pag nag 4 decimal places kayo here, this will be the answer. 0.0408 mole or 40.8 millimole. So that's it for the quiz. Any question or clarification? Oo, okay lang. Okay lang. Okay lang, hindi na cancel.